Unefón Ilimitado presenta.
Rob Schneider!
Gracias, Yordi.
How is to be married with a Mexican girl?
Takes your life here and lifts your life.
So right now you know that a Mexican woman doesn't get angry.
I didn't mean to laugh hard, but you get rejected in this business for how old you are, what you look like, how short you are.
Are you talking to me?
It's to myself and you together.
It isn't easy.
Thank you.
De nada, amigo. Muchas de nada.
What else can I do for you, my dear? Big stand, grand stand, to me was my biggest failure in my career. But it was at that place during this turmoil I got to meet Patricia, my wife. But that just goes to show you that there's always the potential in any time where there's something that's a disappointment.
Pues bueno, un episodio muy especial porque tengo aquí enfrente, bueno, al lado prácticamente, al responsable de Gigolo por Accidente 1, Gigolo en Europa, este cuerpo no es mío, son como niños, Animal, el Grand Stand, como si fuera la primera vez, y si me sigo no acabo porque son muchas películas y muchos proyectos, y me da muchísimo gusto porque hay un nuevo proyecto que se llama Qué viaje con papá, que está fantástica, y me da muchísimo gusto recibir aquí a Rob Schneider.
Gracias, Yordi. Gracias.
Dear Rob, how are you doing?
Gracias. Felicidades on the success.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Sí.
So we're going to speak in Spanish or English?
Sí,
Just to know it.
Spanglish.
Spanglish.
¿Por qué nosotros no?
¿Por qué nosotros
continuar
no?
Un poquito español, poquito inglés, poquito China.
Chinese, yes.
Japonés, Arabic. todo vengo. Yeah, todo idiomas.
What is your favorite Spanish word?
My favorite, fiesta.
Fiesta.
Yeah, fiesta.
Fiesta.
Yeah, and mezcal. But mezcal, it sounds like mezcal. It sounds like a fiesta, but it's a serio.
Okay.
It's muy serio.
Excellent. We are drinking right now. I am drinking tequila. You are drinking mezcal.
No, it's mezcal. No, it's tequila.
No, it's mezcal.
This is mezcal.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You want tequila?
Let me try it.
If you want, we can exchange.
Let me see. Okay, it's different. Yeah.
Do you like it?
It's a combination. Mm-hmm. Mezcal is like a combination of whiskey and tequila to me.
Yes.
Because this is it has the flavor of Scotch,
yes,
which is a charcoal. You know.
So you like it?
Is it
okay
good
to you?
It's good. It's beautiful.
Okay, yes, it's beautiful.
I can't drink too much.
Okay, no, it doesn't matter. No pasa nada.
See what happens. Más o menos.
Long time. No see.
Adventure. Yes, it's been a while.
We met each other about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
Maybe more.
More?
Maybe 15 años.
You look better.
So
you
look
look so handsome.
You still have your hair, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm growing.
I'm too. So we are on the same way. So I'm really happy to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for.
I saw the new movie. It's
oh yeah.
Yes. Daddy-daughter trip. And I like it. I love it.
Que viaje con papá.
Que viaje con papá.
I was saying papa, which is the Patricia says, no, it's potato.
Yes, it's potato. No.
So
what a potato
papa.
trip? No.
Yeah, trip with potato. It's a different movie. Could be good.
It's very funny. Are you excited about this movie?
Yes. Well, the now movies it's different because you have it's all people watch it at home or on their phone. It's incredible because I was on a plane going to England, and then I saw the person next to me in the seat, and he's watching. I said, "Oh, let's see what he's watching." He was watching Lawrence of Arabia.
Okay.
Muy famoso película. Muy famoso. The director.
A very old one.
Yeah, very old. But the premier director in Historia.
Yes.
Ambulancia.
Emergencia.
Anyway,
Fiesta. Fiesta.
So he's watching it, and this grande escena, and it was 70 millimeter, so the screen was like that. You watch, but he's watching on his phone, and they say it's a big scene where Lawrence on a camel comes back and rescues this man,
Okay.
and then comes back, and it's all one shot. But it's an incredible scene. But on a phone, he's going 2 inches.
Yes.
And so,
it's not the same. It's not like a big scene.
So for us, you know, when we made the movie, we said, well, it's probably going to be for a streaming service. But our dream is to get it into theaters.
Yeah.
So for
of
us,
course.
to, you know, yesterday, to see the reaction from the audience in Monterrey and Mexico City was fantastic.
Wow.
Because you get to see it where it's supposed to be, and you have everybody laughing and sharing, and you hear what everyone else is laughing at. Because you want to hear. That's the exciting part for us, is to kind of see, did it work?
Yes.
Did all that work?
Wow.
All that money, all that the
Effort,
anxiousness.
time,
Yeah.
pandemia.
Yeah. That was very difficult, but it's rewarding. You know,
Yes,
I will
of
say
course.
it's still magic.
Yes.
When you put the music and you get the audience and they forget it's a movie, and then they just believe it's a little boy. I mean, it's a little girl and her dad, and they're going on a vacation, and then it doesn't go good. It breaks your heart.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. That
Yes,
to
it's
me is
beautiful.
still the most magical thing that you hope for. You know,
Of
it doesn't
course.
always happen. You know, some movies it just doesn't work.
Yes.
But this one we hoped would work. You have to just try. It's impossible to nearly impossible to make a movie, and for anybody to ever see it,
Yes.
it's also impossible. And for it to be any good, so it takes 3 miracles. So you try for the first one, and we believed in it, and the response has been beautiful. You know, when we heard today this wonderful newscaster for Multimedia in Monterrey, he cried seeing his children cry.
Wow. Yes.
And that's very nice. I mean, it's like, oh, you know, because we want to make a movie that
Yes.
at this point in my life, I want to make a movie that touches people's hearts.
Yes, with a lot of heart, and with your own and real daughter, Miranda. So how was to work with her? It's incredible. I saw the movie. I watched the movie with my son, my 9-year-old son,
Oh, yeah.
and he watched the movie in Spanish. So he really loved the movie, and he started to cry too. So
okay.
it's incredible. Congratulations! I'm sure that it's going to be a success.
Oh, gracias.
How was it to work with your daughter, with Miranda?
Very special, because while we were writing the movie, she was curious. We're like, so what is that?
How old is she?
Well, she was 8 at the time,
Wow.
just 8.
Okay.
And 8 and 3 months, and now she's just turned 10. So, but she was curious, and so who's going to play the girl? You know, so I can tell you could tell she wanted to be in it.
Okay.
And that's how difficult it is to make films. When we started thinking about this idea, she was just born. She was 2. By the time we got it to make it, it was 6 years later, and then we got the money. So let's go. And so we were practicing some of the scenes for months ahead of time.
Okay. How do
before-
you practice in the house, in the family house?
The very beautiful scene is where the daughter and the dad are in the car, and the vacation has not gone well, and they're looking out at the stars, and they do this beautiful thing. I love you, all the way to that star and back, and then she says, I love you, all the way to the end of the universe and back, and it's just. But you feel the love of the actors, but also it's really a father and daughter.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more special. And so that made it really beautiful. But at the same time, you still work.
Yeah.
So, she said, okay. She said, I'm done. And they go, no. I said, me toma.
Wow.
My take, it's my turn now. And so she had to understand that it's work,
Yeah.
And she had to go to school at the same time.
Okay.
So she was doing escuela at at lunchtime, and then continuar trabajar. So it's difficult, but it was very rewarding, and I think she ended up loving it. But it was work for her, and I said, show business isn't healthy for adults. So imagine children. Because you get rejected in this business for how old you are, what you look like, how short you are, or whatever.
Are you talking to me?
That's to myself and you together. So you have that. That's one of the things that you don't want your child to ever feel rejection.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. But the good thing is, she didn't have to audition for the role. She got it.
Wow, it's excellent.
She knew the director and the producer and the
Yes,
writer.
I know, and you know it very well. So maybe is it one of your first works that your daughters can watch? Because
this is the only one.
Is it?
Yes. Well, yeah. They there's not one movie. Maybe Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, with Macaulay
I love
Culkin.
that movie. I remember you like the bellboy that received gums.
There was no role.
No tips, just gums. But it was a memorable role.
Yeah, well, there was
very memorable.
Well, there was nothing there really on the page, and they just said, "Well," they said, "You and Tim Curry it'll be something." And so we just kind of created some stuff, And as an actor, you're gonna have stuff to do. So I was like, "Well, can the prop guy give me some money?" So I'm just counting my money, and then Tim Curry says, "Don't count your tips." And go, I'm sorry, So we just add stuff that go into it, and then it was. That was the only movie I've ever made that I knew would be a hit.
Okay.
It always got to be a hit. The first one was a hit, but otherwise you never know. It could come out. You could have a movie. My friend Chris Rock had a movie come out, and it snowed in New York, so no one can get to the movie theaters.
Okay.
And then the next week, there's another movie came out. So it's like it's a difficult, heartbreaking business, but I wouldn't trade it. It's beautiful. While you can still do it, it's fun to do.
Of course. And I'm sure this movie is going to be a success. It's very funny with a lot of heart and with real dad and real daughter. And real mom writing and making script and story too.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's going to be a big success. So congratulations. And I'm very excited to have you here, like I told you. And I guess this movie have a Mexican touch too. Because there's a lot of Mexican touch. How is to be married with a Mexican girl? Because you married Patricia, a Mexican girl, so you get the best things that we got in this country, the woman, the Mexican woman.
Yes, the corazón.
Yes, how is to be married with a Mexican girl?
Well, it's takes your life here and lifts your life.
Wow.
It's love and family. And truthfully, when I first started coming to Mexico, when I went to Monterrey, Mexico, I was a Sunday and Domingo. Domingo es muy importante para todas las familias de restaurantes. And it was beautiful, And I said, I want that, So I love the family. So I mean, it's beautiful.
So you get inspired to have a family for Mexican families?
Yes, well, people are warmer here. They are.
Yes, this is real.
I mean, it's America is a great country. I love my country, but I'll just tell you, like Bono, he said his favorite place to perform is Mexico City.
Wow.
Because the audience is, their emotions they're more open. Life is short. Why not just put your heart on your sleeve and get that abrazo. Mexicans kiss you, hug you to say hi, kiss you goodbye. It's beautiful. Every day, every time you see them. That's a wonderful, beautiful thing to give to the world.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I don't experience that in the United States. I don't. You say people, maybe you shake hands and it's this cold kind of, the body language is stiff.
Actually, when you greet somebody in America, for example, a woman, I want to give her a kiss, and it's kind of difficult because they put her arm very, very strong and very, okay, no problem.
Yeah, Patricia was, when she first moved to the States, we were doing a television show, and one of the actress's mother was from Spain, and they both were trying to figure out, like, well, this is America, but we should, they ended up with, like, kissing her ear, and so, that's the confusing part.
Do you know what is a sobremesa?
No.
I'm sure you do it because you have now a Mexican-American family, but it's when you get lunch with your whole family. After that lunch, you start to speak and talk and have a chit-chat, very good chit-chat after the lunch.
That's
but
beautiful.
I'm sure in America, it is not a common thing, but in Mexico, it's a very real and common thing.
No, but we do eat together, and which is important. My parents, we didn't. I was the youngest.
Okay.
So by the time I grew up, they were like...
So you were 5 siblings?
You eat by yourself, I did, and I hated it, truthfully.
Okay.
I love eating with other people and the family and everybody around, and it didn't happen that often. When we went out to dinner, it was nice.
Okay.
But we didn't go out to dinner all the time.
Okay.
So it was beautiful, that warm feeling. So I just kind of, I really envied, you know, and I said, no, that's beautiful.
Wow.
So, but it was an accident, and but in my heart, I was thinking, you know, if you put something out in the world, you know, and if you, with a good heart, maybe it gets answered.
What is it like to have two Mexican-American daughters?
Well, the primero idioma.
How is your house in languages and in everything?
El primer idioma es español, see? And the hija Miranda from the película, she still has beautiful and the perfect accent. So it's just, you know.
In Spanish?
Sí, it's the Ciudad de Mexico accent. Perfect. Perfecto. But the little one is too much English. But she understands, so we want to continue.
Okay.
You know, so Madeline is a little bit suffering from that, but she still understands. That's why it's so important to have family around, like the abuelita and the abuelo.
Patricia speaks in Spanish and you speak in English, or how is it?
Unfortunately, we're both speaking English to the kids, but still, though, a lot is in Espanol.
Okay.
So to continue, it's beautiful.
And what kind of traditions does your daughters know? Mexican traditions, I mean.
Well, we have to get the Dia de Muertos, the dolls. They love that, you know.
Okay.
It's beautiful, and they really like. We just did the pan con
pan de muerto.
The pan with the baby Jesus.
Ah, baby Jesus. La pinche rosca de reyes es fantástica.
Sí, pero we didn't have the baby Jesus, so we had to use cashew. Serio? So, no, it's not cashew, it's baby Jesus.
No, it's baby Jesus, okay.
Baby Jesus.
Take care about him because it's baby Jesus.
Yeah, but also to, you know, Catholic as well.
Yes.
You know, it's important that, you know, Miranda's going to catechism.
Wow,
and
real?
She read the whole children's Bible, which is different. It's a little kinder. But she really does have an understanding for it. It's important.
So your family was Jewish?
My father was.
Okay.
My father was Jewish. My mother was Catholic. When I went to confession, I bring my attorney. Father, this is Mr. Cohen. He'll be answering all the questions. But it was interesting childhood, you know. But I don't feel like I fit in, really. Because we had the Jews on the dad's side. The jokes were very good. Okay. Food, terrible.
Okay.
And my mother's side, very warm, beautiful people. Not necessarily like in my particular family, but in the relatives, had a lot of warmth. Okay. So I used to love going to my tita's house, and they're beautiful people. And my dad enjoyed that way more. He said, "I like your mom's family more than mine. Okay. They're warm, they're nice, they kiss you hello, you know." So that was beautiful. Okay. And so they had good food. And he loved that. So my mom would cook not spicy food. Filipino food is savory, but very nice. And so he was just a nice, warm guy. That was my saving grace. Was my dad. He was very, he's a sweet man, you know, and he loved jokes. Okay. So I always wanted to make him laugh, you know. So that was.
Have you been always the funny guy? For example, in your school, have you been the funny classmate?
I guess so. But for me, I knew, like at age 15, that this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even care about like the school thinking I was funny. I wanted to get into the nightclub.
Where did you discover it?
Well, I saw a performer when I was 13 perform in a place, a comedian. It was Steve Martin. He performed in San Francisco at a big place, like 2,000 people. And I remember just staring at him going like, because it's not real when you see somebody on TV, like, it's not real. Or in movies, like, But when you're in...
Yes, when you're in person and...
You see, well, he figured it out.
Scenario, just wow.
How did he do it? Well, if he could do it, then technically it's possible. So once you have that you know, that seed, that this is possible. Maybe, look, he did it.
Yes.
And so then I just, about 2 years later, I said, well, you know, I told my dad, I heard that on Mondays, if you show up at this place, they'll let anybody on stage for 5 minutes. And my dad said 2 words, "Let's go." And so we just went, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that for my own children to have them go to bars at 15, but I loved it. And then, you know, by 17, 18, I was doing it every night. Okay. And I was very fortunate because Robin Williams was the big comedian in San Francisco, and he was there almost every night.
Wow.
Performing, yeah. So it was great because you get to see somebody who's like, wow, he's fantastic. And then he would bring an audience in. This is before the internet, before cell phones.
Yes.
So people would just hear about it on the street, and then they would come in the club, pack it out, you know. And so we had an audience. Well, they mostly would leave after he was gone, but there would be some drunk people who would stay. So we'd have a few people after he was done, you know. So we were very lucky, and it was a beautiful, you know. For me, it was a great time to try to figure out what you want to do for a living, because I didn't want to do a normal job, you know. Nothing wrong with that. Somebody's got to do it. I was a bus boy. I did you know, wash dishes. I painted houses. I sold shoes.
Yes.
Terrible jobs. I hated all of them. I was the worst employee. Because I knew what I wanted to do, you know. So if this is just temporary, it's like you don't care about it. So. But then I started making a little bit of money, and I was amazed, you know.
Okay.
I got like $13. I said, what? They're paying me? So, you know, and I fell in love with it.
Uf, estamos teniendo la verdad una gran entrevista, pero saben que en lo que regresamos con el chismecito voy a aprovechar el refill para servirme algo un poquito más rico, porque fíjense, cambiar es de sabios, y si tú también quieres cambiar este año, te recomiendo cambiarte a un iPhone ilimitado. ¿Por qué? Porque fíjate, al hacerlo vas a recibir hasta 30 días de beneficios ilimitados. Esto quiere decir que te van a dar llamadas, mensajes, megas y redes sociales ilimitadas. Claramente, bueno, eso pues nos conviene a todos, ya, seamos sinceros. Hacemos todo, pero todo desde el celular, como platicar, ver pelis, escuchar música, o un muy buen programa de entrevistas, que me da muchísimo gusto. Así que bueno, ahora imagínate poder ver todas las series que quieras o compartir memes ilimitados solo por cambiarte a un iPhone. A mí la verdad eso se me hace un mega ofertón, así que mejor ya cámbiate así, mira, de volada a un iPhone y aprovecha todos los beneficios ilimitados que tienen para ti. Consulta hasta cuándo puedes aprovechar la promo, además de los términos y las condiciones. ¿En dónde? Muy fácil, en unefon.com.mx, unefon.com.mx. Pero bueno, ya me prepararon el refill, ya estamos listos. Perfecto, regresamos a la entrevista, así es que vámonos con todo. What was your first audience before this stand-up moment?
I tried to tell jokes in my school, and we was a, you know, not a wealthy place where I grew up, and the school.
You mean your childhood and your family?
My childhood was fine. We had everything we needed. But I'm saying the schools were were poor, and we didn't have we had no. There was no extracurricular things. They had no drama.
Okay.
You know, the only thing we had was a music program.
Okay.
And but we didn't have like uniforms for band and things like that. You know, we didn't really get it wasn't great. You know. It was just a normal, you know, childhood where the school district was kind of going down, and so, so instead of having dramas, because we didn't have a theater, we had a cafeteria.
Okay.
They had a talent show, and so I said, well, I signed up for that, and then I told jokes, and that was fantastic because I told jokes and I murdered there, and I went like, okay,
and
this is
you
good.
Win?
Yeah, well, it was a talent show, so it was not really a contest,
okay.
You know, but it was just a show, and then so you get laughs.
But people love you.
Yeah, so that was like, hey, this felt pretty good, but it's different though.
What did you feel in that moment when you hear everybody laughing?
Well, it made you feel like this is more fun than working at the gas station. And it was an angry time in America because there was a gas shortage. So all the cars were waiting, and they could only get so many gallons. It was under the Carter administration, so President Carter. So there wasn't, you couldn't get all the gas, you know? So people were waiting and in line, and they were angry, and this is before you couldn't self-serve. You had to be the guy to do that, you know? Okay. And then it was odd and even license plate, and so people were angry, you know? So it wasn't fun, but then I would go to the comedy clubs and try to avoid it, and we're like, I don't want to do this, you know.
All that employees help you to make the characters that we have been watching at the movies, because you have been doing a lot of characters, different characters in the movies.
Well, it's fun because San Francisco was fun because you get to see different nationalities, you know, because on my dad's side were the Jews, my mom's were Filipinos, but then we had Koreans, which were really tough and really hard working people. The Korean, people that I knew had their relatives move in from South Korea, and they stayed for 10 years. They wouldn't come for the weekend. They didn't come for 2 weeks. They stayed and lived with them for 10 years until they opened up their own Kentucky Fried Chicken or dry cleaner or whatever. So these like, wow, that's a different experience, you know.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of Filipinos moving in to our house because, my mom's from the Philippines, and so we try to help other families. So they would come stay with us and then move out. You know, they wouldn't stay for 10 years, but they would come in and it was great because they were all lovely people.
Yeah.
You know, they're coming in and they come in like my aunt. When I was 8 or 9 years old, she came and lived and stayed in my room. We had a twin bed. She's staying in the bed with me. And
No way.
I had somebody to talk to all night. It was great.
How long?
She was there for maybe a month.
Wow.
She was so sweet because she cooked. Tita Rose. She was the most beautiful.
Tita?
Yeah. When you call her, she says on the phone, beautiful. She said, "What can I do for you, my dear?" Isn't that beautiful? But as opposed to my mother, "What? Who is this? What do you want, Robert?" You know, that kind of, it's different. So it's a yin and yang.
Wow,
She's
yes.
the yang, my mom was the yang. But it was very lovely, and and so then you had like the Chinese too, because at my gas station was the gas station I worked was John Chang and Patrick Chow. So and he thought, it's Hong Kong different, because it's not Mandarin.
Okay.
It's so it's different. It's more sing song, and like gao means rope, but gao means dick. So you have so it's the same word. So I would talk to them, and John Chow, he'd talk, Yamo Gao Cho, and then you learn Chinese. I learned a little bit of Chinese. And then there's this Korean, which is a little different, and then Japanese, like this, very strong, and did you hear this? And so I was always fascinated, because it was right there.
Wow.
Japantown, Filipinos, Koreans,
Yes, so many mixes.
Then there's Russians, and Russian people, when they're talking, they're like, Russians make you feel terrible when they say hello. Good morning. You're like, good morning, Rob. And so it was nice to see that culture. And to be open to it. Then there was the Mexicans too. We had of course, in the Mission District, where the Mexicanos were doing all the work everywhere, of course, and so that was an incredible experience.
Yeah, and you're talking about your mother. Is it real that your mother was in the Second World War?
Yes.
Versus Japan.
Well, she was a little girl during World War II, and. She grew up without a father, but she had a lot of relatives, which is important. She thought she had when she didn't meet her mother until she was 3 because her mother had smallpox. Blah, blah, blah. So she had a very complicated, very difficult life. But she describes her time during the war when the Japanese were, temporarily conquered the Philippines. And they always call themselves, whenever you conquer a place, whether the United States or whatever, or España, whatever, we're liberating you. And so the Japanese, we're liberating you from the Americans. But she considered that the most exciting time in her life.
Okay.
She wasn't depressed about it or sad by it, So it was really amazing. Because I would ask her to tell stories, and she said, I was going to trade, and she would have to create ways to get money. And it's a very cased system, What they had to do was to figure out a way to survive and get food.
Yeah.
So, but she would go and trade for food. The camote was the thing. You can live on camotes, and they did.
Wow.
So she told the stories about, she would take the bed sheets, they were all worn bed sheets and soft bed sheets, and they would make payamas out of them, and then sew little flowers on them with her mother and her sisters. And then they would take those, and they would go and trade them for camote. To eat. And then on the way back, she said one time she was with her cousins. On the way back, this Japanese soldier stopped them. And they had literally the baskets on the head, which is actually, she said, it's a good way to carry the stuff. It's basically on your shoulders and your head. And this Japanese soldier took the biggest one. And I remember one of my favorite stories I heard. She took the biggest one, and she started yelling at him in Japanese. I went for 2 days to get that. My mother, I'm bringing the biggest one, and you take the biggest one. And he's yelling at this Jap who could have easily killed her, you know. And so the officer came out of the, you know, because it was a patrol, came out and said, what's happening here? And he said, I went for 2 days there at the end of kamote for my mother, and he took them, you know, in Japanese, because she spoke a little Japanese. And he just looked at her, took the kamote and gave it back to her. And everybody else was scared, like, you know, you could have gotten killed. But for her, I don't think she said to me, I was never scared. So it was fascinating, you know.
What did you learn from her? Survival,
and not to have fear. She was never afraid. And so I think that's important. And to know that I came from that, it was like, you if you want to do something, just do it. And don't worry about it. Don't be afraid. You can't go into anything with fear. That's it. You know, I mean, I would have preferred to have, you know, my Tita Rose. Like, oh, Rob, what can I do for you? I was like, no, you're gonna, you know. So it was a little tougher. Okay. But you learn from that. I mean, that's why I feel like I should have been in therapy when I started my career and not been making movies. I needed therapy, you know, which I still do, and I'm still doing it. But at the same time, you forgive, you know. You have to, like, their experience is their experience. But I realized something, Yordi, that like my mother was like a 12-year-old girl. My sister told me this. She said, "Do you realize we were raised by a 12-year-old girl, right? That's where she was. That's where like all the stuff happened with the Japanese and all that stuff. So that's where she was. When she has conflicts, you get to that 12-year-old girl, and that's like when you realize that, you go, my goodness, that makes sense. And then you also have empathy for that, you know, and then you also realize that was horrible. But it just is what it is. So you try to make sure the next generation of kids, it's more kinder and gentler. And luckily, I have a beautiful, wonderful person to raise my kids with, Patricia, who's a wonderful mother and a great example, and is constantly learning to like, and so the kids really do benefit from that, and it's beautiful. I'm loving it.
Wow. So right now you know that a Mexican woman doesn't get angry and doesn't make problems.
I didn't mean to laugh hard, but
just because Mexican girls are that way.
No, but she's very, very direct and calm, but that's scarier.
Okay.
No. Because I don't like a silence, or I don't like, you know, so I have to read it differently. Because I'm used to getting yelled at. But when you don't get yelled at and you have to figure out how angry is she really, because you don't know, she's very calm and exact. Which is I like it, but at the same time, I prefer getting yelled at because I know, hey, you know how to deal with it. All right. But but it really does help if two people raising kids are both adults.
Yeah.
And you put the kids first, and it's just nice to be, you know. But it's happening so fast. I mean, we see the movie last night, and you see our little girl. Now she's it's over. Yes. It's over. She's no longer the 8-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Her teeth have changed. I mean, we had to reshoot one scene, just to, you know, for the movie, and she changed already. Her voice changed. Wow. So we had to be back a little bit further, and now it's a year and a half. So it's just, in that way, it's beautiful. We'll always have her as an 8-year-old in this movie.
Wow. What do you do with your daughters in the night? For example, do you go to sleep with them, or do you make fun with them, or
we're spoiling them? We have been doing the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. You know, we would stay, Patricia mostly, the mama, would be with the kids until they sleep every night for years. The first, you know, exactly what they say in the book you're not supposed to do. But you know what though? There's a fantastic, incredible psychologist, Gabor Mate, my dear friend who I've talked to 4 times. My dear friend. Patricia makes fun of me because my dear friend. But he said something like, you're supposed to leave the baby, let the baby sleep separate. You're supposed to do that. That's what they say is better. Tell that to a gorilla. The gorilla's not going to give me that baby.
Of course.
I'm taking this baby the whole time. And it really kind of made sense. So I think that, like, thankfully, kids are very malleable. And they can survive a lot, you know, and recover. The main thing is just to recover and make sure it's okay. And you're going to make mistakes. Apologize. I love you. I'm sorry. You know, and then
keep going.
And they keep going. So far, they keep going.
Wow, excellent. I saw this movie. There's a father that wants to take his daughter on vacation, but he can't afford it because they don't have just enough money.
He's a failure.
Yeah. Yes, he's a failure.
He's a failure.
Just outside.
Yeah, just
because
outside.
Inside have a very large heart, a very huge heart.
He has a good relationship with his wife. I will say that that's important in the script.
He's Jackie, the
Jackie Sandler.
Sandler wife, Adam Sandler wife.
Patricia Maya, my wife, and Jamie Lissow wrote a very good script. And then Patricia actually said, Jackie Sandler should be great for this because she saw me in another movie with David Spade. And then I said, yeah. And then and Adam Sandler gave us some notes too. And he was really smart and really intelligent about keep that relationship strong, that they love each other and they support each other, and that
because something needs to support all this stuff.
And it's true, don't do a joke at the expense of a character where it hurts their character and that love, because it ended up being really important as the film played, that they were supportive of each other.
Okay.
So it does break your heart.
Yes.
And that was really a critical thing, was you need to treat comedy seriously.
Yeah.
You need to treat dramas comedically, where you have the fun, but you have to treat comedies very seriously.
You are very seriously about your kind of fun, because it's not the same to be silly and to be funny. And I think you are very serious about how to get the funny stuff, because I have been watching most of your movies, and I really love it. And it isn't easy to make fun and make it in a good way and make it in a serious way.
To me, it's thank you. Gracias.
De nada, amigo. Muchas de nada.
What else can I do for you, my dear? But it's true. We talk about this too. When we're writing it and we're making the movie and editing, it's a teeter-totter. ¿Cómo se dice en teeter-totter? There's nothing in español, eh?
Sube y baja.
So it's you make it very, very, very sweet and then outrageous and silly. And you have both, and so you keep the audience off balance. So we tilt that very emotional and tearful, and your heart breaks, and then something very silly.
Yes.
And I think that is the surprise that you look for, and it's fun when you can get that coming, the thing that people don't expect. And there's one scene where I'm giving blood to make money, and you give blood 3 times in a row in different costumes, and then you see him after his effect, not being drunk, but being woozy from lack of blood. And you see how pale I am and everything. And
when the policemen go to the 7-Eleven, or I don't know how to say it, try to get some juice.
And then the fun thing is, you just see an empty screen with the grocery store, and you see the guy coming in the cart, his legs sticking up.
Did you live that kind of moment in your childhood that maybe your parents can't take you out on a vacation because
my family? The great thing about what my dad would always took us someplace. He said, and my mom said, "Marvin, can we afford it? Are you sure we can afford it?" And my dad always said, "We can't afford not to. We're going." They did. They spent their money taking us places. It wasn't the glamorous trips or anything. We went literally travel. We went to Europe, but it was on a bus, the cheapest airports, the cheapest airplane, the cheapest flight, the cheapest hotels, but it didn't matter. We were in Europe, And so for this family in our movie, Que viaje con papá, is for people to realize it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter if you have any money. Just go. And it's going to be, and you'll make it beautiful.
How do you get into comedy? I know it's a very common question, but there's a lot of Mexican people that doesn't know. We suddenly saw you in Those Bigelow and a lot of movies, but how do you get into comedy?
I didn't know anything or anybody. You have to love it so much that it attracts things. I do know one thing about creativity and the universal truth of creation is if you're excited about it, that's a magnet. Just like your show. You're enjoying your show, and now your show is the biggest, you know, for YouTube. So felicidades.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But you can see, because you're enjoying it, you're curious, and you bring things to them. You bring things because people want to be attracted to something that people are excited about. What is that?
Yes.
And so there was a point where I was having so much fun as a stand-up comedian, I started getting work as an actor. Then I started to work as a writer, and then I started making movies. I don't know what happened. I didn't plan it. But if I had, but there was a time when the career, you know, because it's, you know, life is a sound wave. You go up and down. And there was a time in my career when it wasn't going well. And I had to be honest with myself and say, what's the difference? Why is it? What's happening? And I said, well, I'm not having fun anymore. And it was a very grown-up thing for me to get to. It's like, hey, you got to make it fun. And so it was nice to do this movie because we did have a good time. Okay. And it was nice. But I also wanted to do something that could make people feel, and to not just do the same thing I did before. So if we're going to make more movies, it's going to have heart. Otherwise, I don't want to do it, you know?
Yeah. Okay. You have been getting a lot of success. There's a lot of movies that we really love. I don't mean Mexican. I mean worldwide. For example, I remember The Hot Chick.
That was a good one. Thank you.
The Hot Chick, I love The Hot Chick.
That was
How was that movie?
Well, I was in a very good place in my life at that time, which is important. So I felt comfortable being taking chances physically, because I mean, to do a real physical movie and play a teenage girl was crazy.
Wow.
So you have to be in a good place for that. And then luckily I had very good actors around me, and Disney supported that. But truthfully, that movie didn't make enough money at the box office at that time. It's done very well over the years, but at that particular time,
wow,
they wanted it to make more money. And so it's a weird business. It is a business. At the same time that I love it, and it's art, and it's fun, but it has to make money. It's a business. And especially, you know, when you're working for the studios, like, you know, Que Viaje con Papá is an independent small film.
Yeah.
So if you're willing, if you are want to have all the controls, then there's no money. But you have all the controls, congratulations. What are we going to eat today? But if you want to take the money from the studio, then you have to take their notes. You have to take, and you have to make changes. But this is the one where they let me do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't get notes.
So right now you can do the things that you want and choose the movies that you want?
No. The studio system is old now, and this is different. They're making the superhero movies. That's why I'm very hopeful that Que Viaje con Papá is a hit, because they're not making small movies.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a small movie, good luck. But getting it in and competing with Marvel, you know, and DreamWorks, it's tough. You know, so they only want to make movies that make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So it is a tough business. So it's, but if you love it, you know, we'll keep doing it. That's why it was very rewarding to see the response from the audience.
Of course.
You know, it's like, okay, maybe we'll still do this, you know.
Oigan, les quiero contar que llevaba ya algunos días sufriendo de insomnio. Fíjense, al llegar a la cama, pues me pongo a pensar en los pendientes del día siguiente y bueno, con esas preocupaciones, en serio se me va el sueño al 100. Pero ayer probé NyQuil Z, está fantástico. NyQuil Z, miren, es una ayuda para dormir que no genera dependencia y está a la venta sin receta médica. Me ayudó a conciliar el sueño y dormir sin interrupciones. Y hoy, bueno, desperté como nuevo. Solo deben de tomar 2 cápsulas 30 minutos antes de dormir, cuando tengan de 7 a 8 horas para dormir y listo. Al igual que yo, van a despertar como nuevos y listos para los retos del día. Les va a encantar NyQuil Z. What is your favorite movie?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's all like, it's unfair to say. It's like I love them all. You know, it's like, who's your real best friend, you know? I have, you know, really favorable memories of a lot of them. But the thing is really nice is the people laugh. That's the thing when you've been doing this for 30 years. When somebody comes up to you and says, oh, my mom and I used to watch that movie together. We laughed so hard. And it goes, beautiful. Yes. And then they go, my mom passed away. And I go, oh, God, don't tell me that. You know, so,
yeah.
it's in a way, people, when they can get together and have a really big laugh. I mean, there's nothing more fun than just having a laugh and then seeing your parents laugh and you're laughing at the same thing, and your family, see your kids laughing. That's a beautiful thing, and at a certain point, you wake up, and if you're lucky, and you realize how fortunate you are to do something that you love, and you just hope that people love it.
Yeah.
And so in some places, sometimes they don't. And sometimes you have a movie that's, is forgotten, like Big Stan, Gran Stan. It did good.
I love Big Stan. Actually, I were on the premiere here in Mexico City.
Oh, gracias.
Because we met us before.
Yeah.
We met each other in Mexico City.
Yes.
A long time ago. And after that, we started to text us. And I went for the second time in my life to LA. And I say, okay, I'm going to write to, yes. I'm very excited because I'm going to write to Rob Schneider. And I went with my wife. Is not anymore my wife, but I went with her.
It's okay, amigo.
I went with her.
I feel your pain.
And I told her, okay, do you really want to have a date with a Hollywood celebrity?
Oh,
yes.
God.
I know Rob Schneider.
I'm sorry it wasn't Tom Cruise.
No. Is it real? Yes. So we get a date. And we get an appointment on the Ivy. That is a very special restaurant.
It's very expensive, and it's a showy place.
Yeah, yes.
LA's great because you walk into the Ivy, every head turns and goes, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
And if you have a movie, they stay a little bit longer.
Yeah.
If you don't, they don't. But everybody loves.
So the story was very funny because we get an appointment, actually a date, and we get there. I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes before to the appointment, and we really was like a young guys.
Yeah.
So we were very excited because we're gonna have a date with Rob Schneider. That it's a big, famous celebrity.
Not that big. I know. I was out of my mind at the time. I remember the story now.
I don't remember at what time was the appointment, but I guess let's tell about it was 3 p.m. So we arrived 3 p.m. and we say, okay, well, Rob Schneider is gonna arrive and it's gonna be the first time, and it goes 3 p.m., 3:15, 3:30.
This story's not going
well. She told me, please text him. I said, no. We say, okay, he's not coming. Maybe he got a problem, or maybe he was just kidding.
If I would have known,
he's not a real date.
If I would have known 13 years later you were going to have this gigantic hit, I would have been there with bells on and whistles. No.
We said no, he's not going to come. Okay, so we start to drink.
Yes.
And in just 20 minutes we get drunk, laughing about both of us getting stood up. With a Hollywood celebrity, and suddenly, after 2 hours and a half, he appears in front of us, in front of the table, and says, it's Rob Schneider. And he told us, sorry, we're really sorry about it because I have a really great stomach ache and I need to go to the hospital. And I didn't have any battery on my cell phone, so I'm really sorry. But I say that you make me trust that I can do it. So thank you, because you are my first Hollywood celebrity friend. So thank you so much.
Cheers. Ay, lo siento.
No way.
Let me tell you the craziness about. I will say that show business will, if you can make money for that studio, they don't care. They'll shovel you in, no matter what emotional wreck you are. They're just going to keep making us money, And the ones most attracted to it are the ones most susceptible to its pitfalls, and the ones most vulnerable, and the ones who are too sensitive, and the ones that have emotional problems. But I will tell you though, that you never know what's going to happen. And the movie Big Stan, Gran Stan, was one of my favorites.
I love it too.
But I could not get it released in America. It was there was too many. My very good friend, I thought was a good friend at Sony, I won't say his name, the president of Sony at the time, wouldn't release it for me. He said, I just need, and he said, it was just going to cost too much money, and it's expensive to make movies, And so I went around and traveled with it. I was heartbroken over that movie. And then because I thought it was my best at that time. So, but the thing about it though, you never know what's going to happen in life. So I went to support that film in different places: South Korea, Australia, Spain, wherever they were, and Moscow, wherever they would release it. And so I wanted to support the independent film distributors. But the thing was, you never know what could happen. To me, it was my biggest failure in my career.
Yes,
but at the same time from that, I came to Mexico City thinking like, oh my goodness. And then I wasn't happy with the distribution here either, because I didn't see the billboards, which is, in Mexico City, you got to have that. And so, but it was at that place during this turmoil in my life or whatever, that everything changed my life from that movie, was I got to meet Patricia, my wife, on that one. And she didn't want me on the show as a guest on her TV show.
How did you meet her?
She had a TV show where I was a guest. She didn't want me as a guest because I didn't, Espanol is no existan. So she was worried about the ratings and people turning the channel, because she had a hit show at that time. And she was doing like 4 shows at the time. So I met her at that time. And then the whole time I was doing the show, I kept thinking about that very special, lady that I just met, this young lady. And then through several weeks of begging after and pleading and emails, I finally got a return.
Mexican girls.
I finally got a return. But that just goes to show you that there's always the potential in any time where there's something that's a disappointment, that it could be the most beautiful thing that could come out of it. I have my beautiful children from that. I have the resurgence of me enjoying movies again.
Okay.
Honestly, I didn't enjoy making movies for a long time.
I'm very proud of her because she wrote the story of this movie. So I text her and I said, wow, I'm very proud of you. Congratulations. And let me tell you something. In this movie, I saw a very present father. But I want to know if you have been a present father with your 3 daughters.
Well, no, I know it's difficult to. The career and travel and is a hard thing. So I'm still working at that. But I'm better. But I still, I want to give them the best of me, while I have them when they're so little and beautiful, like your 9-year-old. What was his name?
Elias is the youngest.
Okay, well, in 3 years, the 9-year-old, 12-year-old, forget it. He's going to be on his phone, and Instagram, and so it's 36 months.
Yeah.
For you and I, 36 months doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's so it's it's so, muy, muy preciosa. So we want to make sure that, that we have that time, and that we really can make it special for their childhood.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. But I still want to show them what I do, because they don't know, they haven't seen my other movies. I want them to see what mom and dad do.
Yes.
And that we love what we do.
Sure.
And so that would be something that they can find what they love, whatever it is.
I know your mother passed away. Sorry about that.
Yes.
And I know, of course, that it was a kind of difficult to help your first daughter, because you was been working.
No.
I am a father, and I know how difficult is it, because you want to be the best one for them, and sometimes you are doing the best for you, but it's not maybe in that moment the best for them.
You have to just say it's very frustrating, much more for the kid, for you, the hija. So you just have to say, look, I would tell her, and it's important to get their attention these days. You have to, touch their knee. Look. Yo soy aquí, ahora.
Yes.
I'm here now. I'm here now. So, okay, let's not waste the time we have now. And that was very difficult.
Yes.
It was difficult for her and difficult for me.
Yes, I know. But I know that you got an excellent relationship with your first daughter right now. And I know that you are a beautiful and great father for Miranda and Madeline right now, because
the mama is 90%.
Yes,
she does 90%. She's beautiful.
I know, but I know that you have been a different guy right now, because you have now different things, and I want at first thank you for this time. I know that you have a really rough
No, this was
agenda.
nice. We got to do next time. I get more jokes, más chistes.
It doesn't matter because I want to know you, and I want to. Well, I know you, but I want to. People know who is behind Rob Schneider. And I want to give you something. I guess your life have been doing a successful life because you have been doing the things that you need to do in the moment that you are living it. So I want to give you something that I guess is very special for us. There's an hourglass. This is an hourglass that all of us know, but the great thing of our life, I think, or I guess, is that we can start over.
Yeah.
Every time you want, if you are, of course, alive.
When the Buddhists say, every day we are born again, it is what we do today that matters most. It's beautiful.
Yes.
To take some of that and to know that you can start over. Well, that's the beautiful thing about children, is
Yes.
that with children you can, you really can start over. And it's beautiful. But this is very lovely.
Yes, because
They're going to take this and they're going to, this is normal, there's no droga, nothing.
no drugs, no drugs inside it.
No problem. I get the
no
airport,
drugs inside
the
it.
sniffing, the test, everything.
Yes, you can take it on the plane.
It's beautiful. Thank you. It's
I
beautiful.
wrote you here something, and there's Rob Schneider. There's always a new opportunity.
Beautiful.
So you have right now, and you're living a new opportunity with those new 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And you are starting another relationship with your first daughter too.
Yeah, it's going good. And then we have I have a grandson now.
Yeah.
I know, so that's incredible.
I admire all
Yes,
the people
yes.
that I see here, and I really admire you. I really want to thank you for trusting me for a long years ago, because you were in my show so many years ago, and I really want to say thank you.
This is beautiful. Gracias.
No, it's beautiful.
Oh, man. Gloriosa. It's beautiful. Very nice. I appreciate it. Gorgeous. My kids are like this too. They love
Just
it.
I want to remember when you want to make, to flip it over, you do it. And if we are here, we can start another time, every time. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much.
Gracias,
I really
amigo.
appreciate your time.
Gracias.
And thank you so much.
Gracias.
Y muchas gracias a todos. Espero que estén muy bien. Muchísimas gracias. Vean la película, está fantástica. Les va a gustar, se van a reír y les va a llegar al corazón. Rob, thank you so much.
Okay, un placer. Gracias, amigo.
Thank you. Un placer.
Hermano.
Muy bien.
Placer.
You're so kind.
Okay,
Un
gracias.
placer. Thank you so much. Bye. Nos vemos la siguiente. Chao.
Unefón Ilimitado presentó.